Our theme today is submission in the marketplace, and our passage is from the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 48, where Jesus says, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist an evildoer. But if anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your coat, give your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go also the 2nd mile. Give to everyone who begs from you, and do not refuse anyone who wants to borrow from you. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be children of your Father in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers and sisters, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect." These verses are quite challenging, aren't they? And I want to begin by noting that the whole idea of an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth, which sometimes people look down on, and people have said an eye for an eye will leave the whole world blind. But you have to remember that those instructions from the Deuteronomic law were to restrain retaliation. If someone knocked out your tooth, you couldn't kill them. It was to have there be an equal response. But part of what Jesus is calling us to is a way of behaving in our relationships and in the marketplace, so to speak, out in the world, in which we don't have to respond to people the way they are treating us. That's the key to this idea of I don't have to retaliate in the same way that someone is acting towards me. So if someone strikes me on the right cheek, I don't have to belt them back in the face. And there's an example of this in Jesus' life later on during his trial. And a soldier slaps him, and Jesus doesn't hit him back. Jesus says, if I have spoken falsely, testify to the wrong. But if I have spoken the truth, why do you strike me? Wow, what a level of spiritual maturity that we see there. And so Jesus is calling us not just to love those who love us, not just to be nice to other people who are in the church, not to only reciprocate to people positively who treat us well. But as Christians, we're called to a much higher standard, and one that, frankly, many Christians in America have been falling far short of in the last several years. We are to love our enemies, and we are to treat those who treat us poorly far better than they're treating us. It's a good goal for us all to aspire to.